What is the best model for image editing? In this video, we're gonna try to answer that question by comparing the most popular image editing models side by side so you can see how they perform in different scenarios. We're going to find the true king of image editing. We'll be testing Nano Banana, a multimodal AI system from Google that needs no introduction. It blew up the internet with its capabilities and is now pretty much everywhere. We will also test GPT Image 1, which is currently the latest available image generation model from OpenAI that is running a ChatGPT under the hood. Next, we'll look at Seedream 4, the latest image model from ByteDance. It's probably one of the best and most capable models produced by Chinese companies. And of course, we're not gonna forget about Qwen. We will include the 2.509 version of Qwen Image model that is probably the most capable open source image model out there. For this video, I'll be using the API versions of these models, because obviously the Qwen model is the only one that is open source and available to run locally. You can find these models in many web services that provide access to them. But don't worry, I will prepare reviewer-friendly slides that we will explore together. One interesting fact about the OpenAI models: if you want to use its API, you need to create an account on their platform and pass an ID verification. The rest of the models are available as is, you just need to pay for generation. We're going to start with a simple photo and gradually transform it into something else. First, let's check their ability to change the camera angle in the photo. In my prompt, I asked the models to move the camera to the right a bit, and only two models actually did it, Qwen and Seedream. You can see Qwen's image is just a little bit blurry. It also didn't preserve her facial expression and open her mouth slightly. Seedream followed the prompt very well. The camera is on the right, she is looking at the camera and she has similar expression. However, I noticed it changes details a bit. You will see there's something off with her mouth in the next slides. If we compare it with Nano Banana, it actually copied the subject very well, but unfortunately her expression changed a bit. As for GPT and Flux Kontext, they did a decent job. Flux Kontext has something artificial around her hair, which is a common issue with this model. The problem with GPT is that it added this yellow tint to the picture. It also feels like it completely regenerated the picture from scratch, so she looks similar but also very different. It added a lot of detail to her face. For some people this might be a good thing, but it feels to me like it's fine-tuned on a specific style. You will see further in the slides what I'm talking about. For the next test, I picked one of the results and asked the models to add baggy jeans and sweater with a duck on it. In this case, Seedream probably did the best. But if I zoom in, you will see the problem I talked about a moment ago. Her face keeps changing, it just looks wrong. Nano Banana actually preserved the subject very well. The pose changed a bit, but the clothes, the colors and the facial details are the same as the original photo. Qwen made a sweater that looks similar, but it's a different color, and her jeans are dark, not grey. And Flux Content completely failed on this one. The GPT looks good, but not as good as Seedream and Nano Banana. On the next slide, I picked one of the photos and asked the AI to change the background. Here, most of the models did a good job. If I zoom in, you can see that Seedream keeps changing her face. Now it looks very swollen, something is clearly happening there. Nano Banana did a very good job. I like the color of her hair under the sunlight. If I look at the Qwen image, it also did a good job, but her face changed a bit, and her hair is too dark and the image is a bit blurry and lacks details. As for the Flux Kontext, I would say that it did better job, but you can see some weird artifacts around her hair that I mentioned before. And GPT failed this test, it's a completely different person. So after that I asked the models to zoom in and create a close-up. Here are the results. Again, with GPT, this person looks similar, but it's definitely not her. Flux Kontext also changed the face a bit, but it looks okay. In Qwen's image, the person looks different and the original facial expression is lost. I would say that Seedream and Nano Banana did a better job. Nano Banana lost her expression a bit, but the colors look better. And with this image, you can actually notice that Seedream tends to generate images that are a bit more contrasty compared to the reference image. To finish with this photo, I asked models to remove her glasses. Let's zoom in a bit. Flux Kontext is not bad. GPT created a different person, it changed her nose. I would say that Qwen looks good but a bit blurry. And I would say that Nano Banana is the best pick here because Seedream did something weird with her eyes again. I tried multiple generations and every time Seedream distorted her eyes. Next, I took this fantasy photo of a king and asked the models to zoom out and give us the full body portrait of this king on the throne. In these results, you can see some models failed with anatomy. The body proportions look weird on the Flux Kontext image and maybe just a bit weird on the Seedream one. He looks a bit like a dwarf. Unfortunately, Nano Banana kept giving me similar results with two knights in the picture. One way I assess these results is by looking at this part of his throne. It should be on the same level as his eyes. Judging by this, I would say GPT, Seedream and Qwen succeeded. Qwen's image looks a bit blurry and not as detailed compared to others. But in this case, I think GPT's specific artistic style helped it a lot. The image looks very nice to me. So I took the GPT image and asked the models to turn the king into a goblin. Again, there's something wrong with the proportions in the Flux Kontext image. And in the GPT image, the goblin looks a bit small even though it has tons of details. If you look at Qwen's result, you can see it also lacks details. Seedream and Nano Banana results look the best here. I would say that Seedream looks more like the king from the reference photo, so it's probably the best pick here. Okay, let's move on. I took a photo of Harley Quinn and the penguin and asked the models to make a night selfie. If we zoom in a little, you can see that Flux Kontext and Qwen clearly failed this test. GPT also changed their faces, they don't look like the reference characters. Seedream and Nano Banana did the best. The Seedream photo looks a bit weird because of this backlight. I'm not sure if this is how this scene would look like in real life. But despite how she's holding the phone, I think the Nano Banana image looks the best and most natural among all of them. Next, I picked one of the results and asked to make it a daytime selfie. At first glance, most of the results look good, but if you look closer, Flux image is okay. But again, there are some weird artifacts around the people. GPT, no, completely different people. Qwen model changed Harley's face. And if we compare Seedream and Nano Banana, it's a bit hard to do because the Seedream photo is much brighter. I think they both look quite realistic. In the next test, I asked for a heavy rain. And here you can see that GPT gave me Michael Jackson with some other dude. Flux Kontext completely changed their faces. Qwen actually did a very good job, but again, Harley Quinn looks a bit different. I don't know why, but it keeps changing her face, but the rain effect looks very nice. And if we compare Seedream and Nano Banana, I think Seedream looks better in this one. Look at the wet hair and splashes. On the Seedream photo, the characters look wet, whereas on the Nano Banana image, it looks like it just added rain as a separate layer in Photoshop. Okay, I also asked for snow. Flux definitely overdid it. And the GPT result looks scary, look at this. What happened with GPT is that this model is heavily censored. I tried to feed it its own result from the previous generation and it was rejected. Then I cropped the image and tried to change the prompt. And only after several attempts I finally got this image. I'll leave it to you to judge. Qwen looks decent. And Seedream added pink cheeks. I think both the Nano Banana and Seedream images look good. Now let's switch to product pictures. I got this headphones design. I asked the models to create black headphones with the purple logo. As you can see, the only models that produce the correct flat headband, this part of the headphones at the top, are GPT and Flux Kontext. The GPT version looks very similar to the sketch. I would say Flux Kontext is even more similar, but I forgot the ring on the side. Qwen added its own elements, but looks decent. Overall, I think every model did a decent job and well suited for prototyping. On the next slide, I took one of the results and asked to create an ad banner with a streamer, some neon lights and game characters. And this is what I got. Flux Kontext completely forgot about the streamer. And Qwen model tried to add some text but failed. Out of the others, GPT probably the best, again thanks to its specific style that makes very dramatic images compared to Nano Banana and Seedream. In the next test, I quickly tried to improve the text on the Qwen ad banner. To no surprise, our models managed to do so. Then I got a logo inspired by the show Arcane and a headphones photo. I asked to create a product lineup with keyboard, mouse, hoodie and cap, all with the same logo and the same style. And this is where GPT came off very dark and it forgot the rest of the products. I would say the only model that managed to produce all the products I asked for with the logo is Nano Banana. And don't forget, I tried generating each image up to 4 times until I got a good result. Seedream didn't use the logo on all the products and added extra headphones. And Qwen got the products right but failed with the logo. Same problem as in the Flux image. Next, a very easy test. I asked the models to change the name on this box, and you see the name is in 2 places. And pretty much all models managed to do so, no surprise. It's an easy task for them. In the next test, I asked the models to turn this into a soft toy. Here again, all models did a good job. I'm not sure how to judge this because every model obviously did what I asked. Probably Seedream performed a bit better because it preserved more details from the original toy. And we have one more prompt with toys. I gave the models a photo of a real car and asked to turn it into a small toy. And this turned out to be a tough test. Only 2 models managed to do it, Nano Banana and GPT. The rest models got confused, probably by the background. They tried to either make the real car smaller or make the toy the size of the real car. Next, I switched to characters. I got this image of Freeran from the famous anime and asked the models to generate a design sheet with front, side and back views. Here you can see that Flux Kontext interestingly made her a dwarf. And this is another example where Seedream changes colors. You can see that Nano Banana's hair color looks closer to the reference image. I noticed that Qwen didn't manage the small details, like her shoulder piece looks different and it added extra earrings. It also tried to add a description for each view but failed. After that, I tried to combine the Freeran image with a depth map image to copy a pose. And this is what I got. Flux Kontext didn't understand the pose. GPT changed her a bit and added some details, but overall I think it understood the pose. With Qwen and Seedream, if you look at her feet and legs, it looks similar to what we have on the depth map picture. And Nano Banana looks perfect. It changed her pose exactly like in the reference image. The colors and the character identity are preserved compared to the Seedream image, where the color is a bit different. We've seen this problem with the colors multiple times already. Next, I tried to recreate the famous scene where Freeran always gets stuck in the treasury chest. This was a pretty tough exercise because I didn't provide the pose. I tried to explain it with different prompts, but Nano Banana was the best in terms of understanding what I wanted. GPT also understood what I asked for, even though it changed the angle and colors. The rest of the models just couldn't make it. And surprisingly, Seedream flagged this as a sensitive content a few times. Next, I took the character sheet and a random photo of a woman sitting on a bed and asked the models to copy the pose. Here, Flux Kontext again made her legs shorter. GPT did a good job. And if I zoom in, you can see that the hair color from Nano Banana and GPT looks more accurate. Seedream changed the colors. The result looks a bit more contrasty again. Qwen looks good, but there's something wrong with proportions. Maybe her head is a bit smaller, probably the influence of the reference image, I think. Next thing I did, I took a line drawing of a character, a JoJo's Bizarre Adventure poster, and asked the models to add color to the character in the style of the poster. And these are the results. I think the only model that bothered to properly add glare and shadows was Nano Banana. It looks very detailed just because of that, and it matches the style of the poster. The rest produced much simpler results. Images look a bit flat. Then I tried to combine the previous character with the character from the anime Demon Slayer and the simplified scene drawing. I would say only Nano Banana produced the correct result. You can see that her leg and his pose look similar to what I have in a reference image. Seedream got close but not really. Again, the colors look a bit punchier than the reference. The rest of the results look very different from what I expected. One more style test. I uploaded a family photo and a photo of Flintstone family and asked the models to apply the Flintstone style to the family photo. To be honest, I don't know what I expected. Probably something closer to what GPT model produced, but with the level of details from the Nano Banana or Seedream images. If I had to pick one image, it would be Nano Banana, just for accuracy. But I feel like none of the models gave me what I imagined in my head. I also tried to provide an anime image to see if the models could apply the style. Unfortunately, Nano Banana was hopeless here. I tried multiple times. Out of all of these models, I think Seedream and GPT understand the anime style the best. They produce decent results. Qwen just copied faces from the reference image. And Flux Kontext, I don't even know what's going on in this image, to be honest. Switching to UI tests. I took this reference image straight from the Seedream documentation and used the exact prompt they provided. No surprise, Seedream produced the expected result. If I zoom in, you can see that on the left there should be a logo, and every model except Flux Kontext added this logo. Then there should be a search bar in the middle, and only Nano Banana, Seedream and GPT put it there. Next, there should be an image gallery, which almost all models got right. On the left there should be an information section, and on the right there should be a price. Nano Banana, Seedream and GPT got this right. Qwen tried to do something with the text, but failed unfortunately. And Flux Kontext was completely lost on this one. For the next test, I used this image of 4 icons and asked to generate new icons for music, weather, camera and map apps. In this test, the results from Nano Banana, Seedream and GPT look better in my opinion. I would say that the Flux Kontext result is technically similar to the reference image, but I'm not sure if the icon looks good. Qwen and Flux Kontext added too much color. And maybe the hardest test for UI, I provided this sketch of a stock rating app. The first screen is an overview, the second screen is history, and the third screen is a stock list. I also provided a banking app design so the models could transfer that style to the sketch. And let's see what we got. For some reason, GPT kept cutting off the side of the image. Flux Kontext is completely wrong here. Again, Qwen had some problems with the text, and my first screen should be an overview like on the Seedream image, but it's not there. As for GPT, Seedream and Nano Banana, I think Nano Banana looks more consistent and is the best out of these three. From my experience, I think that these models work better with the real design and color. If you provide them with the real mock, they will have better understanding of what's going on in the app and will better transfer the reference style. For the next test, I uploaded this brain image and asked to create a seamless background pattern. In this case, I think the worst result is from Qwen, because some of the brain icons got literally squashed. As for Flux Kontext, I asked for a cyan color, but it looks a bit blue to me. And when it comes to the pattern itself, Nano Banana probably did a better job than the rest. For the environment test, I created this example of an empty room and marked some areas. I wanted to see a TV, sofa, and a lamp. Let's take a look at the results. Flux Kontext barely understood my drawings. GPT produced a very good result. If we look at the top 3 images, I would say Qwen looks very good. It has the lamp, the reflection, and the size of the sofa is similar to what I asked for. Seedream also looked good. I probably tried to create a sofa that matches my drawing exactly, which is why it looks so weird. And the lamp also looks strange. Nano Banana made the sofa a bit larger than I expected. So I picked one of the results and asked the models to paint the walls soft green. All models passed this test except maybe GPT, because it also painted the ceiling for some reason. Next, I asked to change it to nighttime, and this is what I got. Nano Banana historically struggles with nighttime. This can be fixed by adjusting the prompt. You literally have to say it's dark outside and only the lamp is producing the light, etc. But the rest of the models understood it, although GPT maybe made it too dark. If you didn't notice, I also asked to add a wooden coffee table in front of the sofa. We can argue where the front of the sofa is, but Nano Banana probably did this a bit better. Next, to test reflections, I asked them to replace the TV with a mirror. Here I would say that Nano Banana and Qwen got it right. Qwen has the lamp and sofa reflected, while Seedream forgot the lamp in the reflection. And I think the reflections in the GPT and Flux Kontext images are wrong. And probably the hardest test for the models, I asked them to turn the photo into a 2D floor plan. Seedream probably got the closest to what I wanted because it placed the column, the lamp, and the sofa in the right positions. GPT produced a 2-dimensional plan, but it's wrong. The column isn't there. Yes, it's pretty tough test for those models. I guess Seedream won this one just because of the correct placement. So which model is the best? Honestly, I don't have a single answer for that. If you want a full control over what you're producing, concerned with censorship, or need to build a complex workflow, then the answer is obviously Qwen. It might not be quite as powerful as the top closed source models, but it's very close and it's open source. If you have special requirements, this is the model for you. As for the rest, I would say that Flux Kontext Max and GPT Image 1 need an update. OpenAI and Black Forest Labs need to work on the next versions because their current editing capabilities don't quite reach the bar set by Nano Banana and Seedream. And when it comes to Nano Banana and Seedream, these two are the clear leaders. The key difference is that Seedream can produce high-resolution images, like 2K and 4K, while Nano Banana is limited to about 1 megapixel. But it also depends on the input image. What I noticed with Seedream, if you feed a small image, it won't magically make it a highly detailed image. Don't expect that. So if resolution is important to you, Seedream might be the better choice. Of course, you also need to compare pricing and see which model works best for your specific use case. Fortunately, it's not that hard to do. You can use them for free. But overall, if you want the most versatile model that will cover the majority of your needs, I would say that Nano Banana is still the leader. Okay guys, thanks for watching.